Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this narration of the book A Brood of Two, taken from Reddit. If you're new to the story, there is a playlist listed down in the description. And as always, I hope that you enjoy. Chapter 10, Good Karma. Well, this isn't great, Samantha muttered to herself from her vantage point as she watched the Dragzoon march away. No, not for you at least, a familiar raspy voice said from a few feet behind her. She was startled by his sudden appearance, but managed to hide it. His tone of voice clearly conveyed that the next few minutes of conversation would not be as friendly as she had hoped. Samantha sighed as her concern seemed to double in a matter of moments. I'm not sure I'm surprised to see you again, Jask, said Sam, turning around to face him and the gun that he had trained in her. I didn't think you had it in you to be that sneaky. I am getting out of here, human. I bet you will. Jask winced as he beheld Samantha's withering gaze, a look of disappointment and disgust that always seemed to drench up bad memories. Get up, he ordered. Samantha complied, slowly standing up from her crouched position. The entire time her eyes never left Jask's own. The unnerving look remained. What are you doing? Sam calmly asked. I know these kinds of people. They are scavengers, marauders. If I want off this planet, I need to join them. And to join them, I need something of worth to give them. A slave would... No, she interrupted. What are you doing? What? You know exactly what the hell I'm doing. Do I? What's the plan after you become part of the crew? After I've sold off as a slave again? Shut it. The plan is staying alive. I don't need your bullcrap. You're coming with me. You have not thought about anything past breathing the next day. Is that really it? I said shut it, Jask hissed, taking a step forward to emphasize his demand. Samantha stopped talking. Still that gaze remained fixed on him. Stop looking at me like that. You have no idea what I've done to get to where I am. I've stolen, blackmailed, and... The words seemed to catch in his throat. Her look, the situation that they were in, and the memories all blended together. He couldn't help recalling the way his sister stared him down that fateful day. To get where you are, Jask, you were left for dead by your own people. It's a miracle that anyone came here at all. Did this end up being any better? Jask remained quiet, contemplating her words for only a moment before gathering his resolve again. Shut it, we are moving now. No, I don't think you're in a place to make demands. Buddy, I think the opposite, she replied matter-of-factly, taking a step closer to Jask. The Yali raised the gun and scowled at her. Yeah, I am warning you. And what? Kill me? I am only of worth to them alive. Have you even considered that I might actually prefer death to enslavement for the rest of my life? On top of that, if they don't care if you bring something, then threatening me is pointless anyway. He let his words die in his mouth. Samantha's hand flashed out and yanked the weapon from his arms. It took Jask a moment to register what happened. But by then, she had already tossed the weapon to the side, her gaze still unbroken. He watched as the gun skidded away across the floor. A part of him screamed to die for it. A larger part, one he did not know he had, ordered that he stay at his feet. His hand, lamely reached out to the air of his determination, was ripped from his grasp alongside his weapon. Jask couldn't bring himself to look at her. He deserved what was coming next, for all he did, what he had done to escape his life on Dythe, for the trust that the monster had shown him by letting him go free, for threatening the being that had spared his life only days prior. Jask hung his head in shame. How would the human kill him? How painful would his last moments be? Jask, came the disappointed sigh from Samantha. I don't know what you have done or why the hell you did it, but I know that you can be better than whatever this was. Go with those jerks if you want. I'm staying here until someone who gives a damn shows up, as naive as that probably sounds. Samantha brought up her Omnipad and tapped it a few times. Eagle Eye to Grasshopper, what's your status over? No response. Eagle Eye to Grasshopper, do you read me over? Silence. Then a bit of crackling came over the line along with the sounds of clanging metal. Crap. Sorry, Jask, I gotta go. It was nice meeting you. See you later. The Yali raised his head slightly. Why hadn't she struck him? Was she not going to get revenge? See you later, was all that was supposed to mean. Why was she sprinting off to the side of the building? His eyes shot wide open, and he raced forward to stop the girl from falling to her death to no avail. Jask watched helplessly in stunned silence as she leapt off the building, catching himself on the part of the wall to prevent his own fall. His eyes traced a descent as Samantha landed on a small sand dune built up in the street and rolled with what he could only describe as a practiced grace. "What the feck?" he mouthed whilst watching Samantha dust herself off, uninjured, and continued running. Jas scrambled to the stairs to go after her, stopping briefly to rearm himself with his previously discarded gun. His boots thudded against the synth steel steps as he descended the 3 stories to the ground floor. A little out of breath, he arrived there, still very perplexed as to how the girl pulled off the feat. Sure, there were a few rumors about the humans originating from a death world, or something similar. But even if that were true, 3 stories would have shattered her legs of just about anything, even if the gravity was lower than her species' native force. She just walked it off like it was nothing. Mustering up more energy, Jask pressed on, jogging out the door closest to where she landed and taking in his surroundings. He couldn't see her anywhere. Great. What should he do now? Trying to catch up with the human would be difficult, considering the pace she moved. Knowing her, she had probably run off to find Chax. Bitey was large, but he'd lost track of him earlier, and he'd only followed Samantha. That was out of the question. Then there were the Marauders. They would be at least way off the planet. Hopefully. The next group to show up on the planet, even if they did, would probably be either the Chax or members of the Lee Commerce Guild. He didn't think either would care much for his life. Fine, pirates it is. He stormed down the side of the street where the group had passed by a few minutes earlier. He crested the corner of the block to find a shuttle they arrived in. 2 guards stood sentinel outside and cobbled together craft. This plan was reckless, he thought to himself. Did this even count as a plan? Damn, Samantha was right. The hell am I doing? Jask threw his gun on the floor to get the attention of the 2 pirates standing guard. A pair of poorly outfitted Yili. They both raised their weapons at him. Hands on your head, Quivergills. Jask swallowed his nose before speaking up. I am a militia member of this colony, Jask Antheon, trooper rank corporal number 2361. I want to join your crew, he stammered out. It was not his intention to give his credentials, but some old habits die hard. The 2 guards shot perplexed looks at each other. One activated their omnipad and spoke into it in a hushed voice. Stay right where you are, Jask. Yes, sir. All he could do was stand and wait for something to happen. They had not decided to kill him on sight, which was a good sign. Jask wondered how Samantha planned to leave the planet. Maybe the Chax would be amendable to her considering Bitey seemed to like her. What kind of name was Bitey anyway? Knowing how they named the planets, it didn't seem too off for them to be name him something like that. Hold on 1 second. Wasn't the worker Chax named Mira? That's a normal name. Why was he named Bitey then? What are the chances? Jask heard someone say in the native Dythic tongue. Lower your guns, lads. It's not a problem. The guards relaxed a curt nod to the figure that was approaching from behind Jask. Noticing the lull in tension, Jask spun around on his heel, his mouth falling agape at the person that saw it before him. Uncle Dirch! The captain's grin turned into a wide smile at the sight of his nephew. One and the same smile, Fry, although I go by Captain Athian these days. How are you, Jask? He struggled to pull himself from his amazement. Was the human some kind of good luck charm? The stars constantly seemed to align wherever she went. Maybe it's his own luck, and being captive of a monster and an oddly friendly alien had earned him a chunk of karma. I've been better. Dirch let out a small chuckle as he closed the distance and slapped his nephew on the back playfully. It certainly does look like it. I have not seen you worse for wear since you sent my brother to the pyres. Jask grimaced at the mention of what he had done to his father to earn his stripes. What? Don't give me that look. He was a jerk anyway. Besides, you got the gig with the kobold fang lads for it. Happy days. Yeah. Happy days, he said with a faint smile. Well, with the pleasantries over, we have to get out of here, pronto. Why? The bugs are back. Sensors picked up a fleet about a minute ago. We have to be out of here yesterday. At this point, Jask had no idea how to react. It seemed that every other moment something new happened to catapult his emotions from one extreme to the other. Hope to shame to panic to frustration to shame again. Before we head, found anything worth around here, kid? Bits of tech, meat, for the markets. The opportunity expected. An easy ticket into his uncle's good books. No, nothing like that. Just me and Bitey to keep me company. Jask surprised himself with the response he gave. The human had gotten to him, but it felt right to not sell her out. Dirch also seemed surprised, but Jask realized that it was due to a different part of his statement. Oh, Bitey is a chax that's been following me around for the past week. He's friendly enough, but not great for conversation. Jask elaborated with far more genuine smile on his face. Oh, for the love of... I knew that he was up to something. He just couldn't leave it alone, could he? The Hacklezar exclaimed as he overheard the conversation. Everyone on the shuttle, I'll sort out Vesh. Dirch rolled his eyes, and the rest of the crew nodded in affirmation. Jask followed them up the metal ramp, pausing briefly to look over the ruins of the Port Gale one last time. Good luck, Samantha. May fortune continue to smile on you, he whispered to himself. His last parting words before departing on his new life for the second time, for once without guilt. Neither of the combatants moved in the darkness as Bitey contemplated what he'd just heard and smelt. Was diplomacy even an option in regards to a Draktar? If combat continued, the Draktar would surely kill him. It was worth a shot at least. Hesitantly, he cocked his head as a sign of confusion. What do I mean? Vesh interpreted the motion. Honor your bloody arms are missing is what I mean. This ain't a straight fight. No combat simulation his clack went through had taught him how to deal with this type of situation. Bitey tentatively reached for the abdomen and switched to his new personal translator on. I suppose it isn't, he responded. Hold on, since when can you talk? Since the start. Have you been speaking to me without knowing this? No. Bitey narrowed his eyes, nothing more than a symbolic gesture in the gloom which they currently resided in. The Draktar, Vesh, Bitey believed he declared himself, didn't give off any chemical signals that he could interpret. Vocal cues proved far harder to gain insight into. He'd just have to take a face value despite the feeling that there was something deeper to the way he pronounced the words. That's beside the point, warrior, Vesh said again. I gotta do this again with different rights. Bitey found his entire situation beyond absurd. Are the rest of the Draktar as strange as you? Bitey inquired. Bitey had enough wisdom to know when he was being told to silence himself. Warrior, I am Vashtald. The door to the warehouse slammed open, sunlight drowning out the copious shadows. Both large soldiers heard a rapid stomping of feet against the floor of the structure. After a brief moment, the figure causing the gnawls appeared before them. Vesh observed the creature. He had never seen such a thing. Although structurally similar to most species in the USO, his pits noticed something incredibly peculiar about this warm-blooded being. Her walking limbs were cold. Bitey, are you okay? The creature asked, taking up some kind of amateurish battle stance. She looked around at what she thought was going to be a combat, but had somehow broken down. No one present did anything for a few seconds. I'm confused. What's going on here, Bitey? Samantha asked. The Jack spoke up. The Draktar has challenged me to a duel, I think. I did, Vesh declared. Samantha's posture relaxed slightly, and her brow furrowed, imperceptible to the Draktar standing in front of her. You aren't just going to kill him? She asked, silently wondering where the reptilian creature's gun that she'd seen earlier was. Not unless I have to. He's injured, therefore this duel is unfair. Professionals have standards, Vash announced proudly. Samantha merely stared at Vash in utter bewilderment. She could barely comprehend someone so incompetent on the battlefield being alive long enough to be considered a professional. Was I? He muttered as he scratched his head with one of his drawn scimitars. All right, I had to do a void of declaration. I am... Vash, you piece of crap! You better not have gone looking for that chax! Cran interrupted over the comm bead on Vash's shoulder. The Draktar sighed, holding up one of his 4 hands to the human and his opponent. Both looked at one another and backed away slightly. It was a safe bet to allow him to continue with his antics. Vesh tapped the comm. "I have. What of it? Can you leave me alone? I'm busy." "Get your arse back to right now. We have evac orders." Samantha's omnipad beeped a few times. Considering the dangerous gladiator standing before her was more pressing issue, she elected not to read the new notification. Vesh sighed, assuming a battle stance. "I wanted a straight duel, but it seems my ancestors wish to humiliate me. I refuse to leave here in pieces." "Wait on a sec. Crikey," Sam implored the reptilian. "Could you just let us go? We'll let you return to your crop peacefully." Vash pondered her request, looking between the Chucks and the human. "Only if the Chuck swears to engage me in honourable duel at a later date, when he has recovered from his injuries." Samantha shot an imploring glance at Bitey. Perplexed, but feeling an odd sense of pride at the offer, Bitey straightened his posture, as if awarded honour. "I can agree to such terms." Vash grinned. He'd reached into one of his breast pockets in his combat harness to procure an ID badge, promptly tossing it over to the Chucks before stomping out of the building. "I shall see you in battle one day, Bitey," said Vash as he left the warehouse. Bitey and Samantha gawked at the entrance as the Draktar ran off the street. "He let us go, just like that." "Who was that guy?" Samantha asked. "Vash Taldrak. That guy nearly had my head before you showed up. He just stopped the fight after seeing you were crippled." Bitey's spine shivered. A shrug. Samantha shook her head. "I have no idea if that's chivalrous, dumb, or both. Your mandibles don't look good. Do they heal?" "They will repair themselves in time," he answered, tracing his hand over his broken mouthparts. "What about you? Are you well?" "Oh, I'm fine. I had to run in with Jask, and I gave him a bit of a talking to, and we parted ways." "That's good to know. The pirates departing so soon is also good news." Bitey stretched his limbs to relax the tension in his muscles. "What a strange series of events." "Yeah. Today's just been a roller coaster." For the moment attention diffused, Sam looked down at her omnipad. Excitement once again washed over her. Holy hell! An entire fleet has been detected closing in from the outskirts of the system. They're broadcasting some kind of... Bitey observed Samantha's expression shift to utter glee, matching the scent of happiness radiating out from her. Even more good news. "No way! Oh, I think you'll want to hear this," she said with a smirk. With a few carefully placed taps, the broadcast played from her omnipad. Clicking and chirping sounds of the Chuck's language resonated along Bitey's sensory spines. "This is Opal Queen Kalani, High Queen of the Opal Brood, siblings from the Amber Brood. If you can hear this message, please respond." End of chapter. Just a quick shout out to the T5 peeps. Bob the Dragon, Cat Crab Lobster, Data Magnet, Dark Machine, Bezic, Try Again 95, Pudic Yol, Astrea the Dreamer, Casper Arnholtz, Cam Maxwell, Ithilia, Meridian 117, and Jordan Bucksmorm. Thank you very much. And that, my friends, concludes this video. I hope that you enjoyed. There are links down below, both to support this channel and for the author of this fiction. Anyways, I hope you all have a fantastic one, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.